Why do holidays feel so short and so long at the same time? Message 4, Life on Break. Hey everyone, I'm your host Desi on Unsend Voice Memos, and this week we are talking about a topic I love, I think, being on holidays. As I'm recording this, I've got about 5 days left of holidays, and I'm trying to savor it while I can before I go back to school. Usually during the holidays, I don't have a lot of stuff happen. I don't hang out with my friends too much as I like the time to wind down and recharge from the school term. I kind of end up really bored and I just end up watching Netflix or Disney or just anything to keep my mind stimulated. And I feel like it never really does me good. By midway or even a couple of days into the holidays, I will be on my bed just being really bored. But I can't do anything else except stimulate my brain by watching something, which I know is not good for me, but I struggle to break out the habit, especially when I have nothing else to do. So these holidays, while yes, I have gotten quite bored, I've still been trying to keep myself busy. So one thing I've been doing is hanging out with my friends a bit more, both in school and out of school. While yes, for me, recharging my social battery, one of my priorities is I try to prioritize my energy as that directly relates my mental health for me. I feel like I still need to be social, so I did hang out with friends a bit. I went out every now and then. Another thing I did actually was I did a bit of exercising. Exercising is usually at my dance, but then I don't have dance during the school holidays, so I actually took a couple of walks. I did one with my friend, one without. They both were around 4 to 6 kilometers, and I think it actually did me really good because I came back feeling a lot more relaxed, a lot more refreshed, and a lot more motivated. So then I've also been doing a bit of writing, something I've been doing for the past year now, and for me it just lets my mind get back into a nice mental state, but also lets me be creative and just let my imagination do whatever it wants. And then of course I've been doing my podcasting, which has actually kept me quite busy with recording and editing, but I love it. And then the other two things I've been doing is working. So I've worked not too much, but I have worked a bit, and then I also volunteered for a day as well. Yes, I have been doing all these things, which has kept me a lot less bored. I have noticed the change. I've not really, well, I have been on my bed. Let's be real. I love my bed, and I'm still been getting up at 9 o'clock, 8:30. But I've also just been a lot more productive. I've been thinking a lot less I'm bored. I'm still watching YouTube, Netflix, and stuff. I've been a little less bored, which I think has been an improvement. Even though I'm still bored, I won't really study, especially during holidays, and I feel like everyone can relate to this. I procrastinate so much more. I got math homework set for the holidays, and I only just finished it today, but I had so much time in the first week to finish off my homework. Procrastination is such a battle for me during the holidays, and then for me as well. This might not be everyone, it kind of depends if you're a morning or night person, but I'm more of a night person, so waking up in the mornings has been such a pain for me, especially because in Australia where I live, we just came out of daylight savings, so the clock got moved back an hour, and the sun was actually waking me up, which was not my favorite thing because I'd wake up 7 o'clock, 7:30, and then I'd just fall back asleep for another hour because I'm I cannot be up at this hour unless I have something on, or just I slept early. Yesterday night I had a bit of a headache, so I ended up going to sleep at 8:30 or 9, which is relatively early for me as I'm usually more of the person to go to sleep between 10 and 11. I ended up waking up at 6:45, and I stayed awake, which was surprising. I did end up staying in bed till 7:30 because I value my bedtime. Being in bed, just lazing around, just being in the comfort. So I do like holidays in the aspect of I just get to laze around, and I actually get to enjoy time by myself and just time where I actually get to process my thoughts, especially because with school, I feel like I'm so busy that I don't have time to just process my thoughts sometimes. Even before I go to bed, I just don't have time to think for a second, be what did I enjoy about today and what I didn't. I try to do stuff that helps with that, but I just feel I struggle with thinking when I'm at school, more about my mental state and checking in on how I'm doing and worrying less about schoolwork. And I feel the holidays is just that time for me, not only to recharge, but check in with myself. And I also feel the holidays is just a good time for me to restore balance back into my life. I can still work hard, but I can also have that time to relax. I really do like the holidays in the sense of it. For me, having a balanced life is such an important thing, and the holidays is the perfect time for me to work that in. So For today's story, I'm actually just going to talk about my past week and looking at more from like your less typical holiday side of just the relaxing and just staying in bed and just enjoying like a mocktail or something, and more just like how like even during the holidays we still need to work hard, but as long as you have the break, it's okay. So I'm just going to get straight into it. I'm going to start my week from Thursday. So on Thursday, I was kind of just chilling at home, and then I was just like really bored and just really tired. Like I actually felt motivated to do nothing on Thursday. So then I just decided to like take a walk. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go to Coles, which is like one of the major grocery stores in Australia. So I was like gonna go down to Coles, get some like snacks and treats, and then like maybe come back home and make like a candy charcuterie board kind of thing. I ended up walking down to Coles, and it's like quite a downhill walk for me. And then I walked through Coles, and then I'm like, I don't really want to spend my money. Like I have said this, I have a spending issue. This literally reflects it. I just could not spend because I'm like, do I actually really want to get like lollies for myself? Like Oreos were on like a 66% discount or something, and I still didn't get them. I kind of just like walk out of Coles, and then I decided to go down further to the train station, and like connected to the train station near me there's like a small mall, so I went into the mall, walked around, and then I went out of some exit, and then I ended up in the next suburb over eventually, and I was like, how did I actually end up here? So I kind of just like took a walk around, and I just took like new paths that I hadn't like really explored. Like I took a lot of the internal roads because I like not usually the kind of person to walk around, and I actually haven't explored too much, like in the sense like I know all the external roads, but I know like not many of the internal roads. So I did that, and then I came back up and I went to Coles, and then I got a smoothie because I was like so dehydrated. Like I wasn't expecting to take such a long walk. I don't actually know how long it was because I don't like have a watch to count my step, but I think it was probably somewhere around 4 or 5 kilometers because I was out for like an hour and a half. So I like came back, I got myself a smoothie, and actually that smoothie felt so good after doing the walk because I was like, okay, I'm rewarding myself for doing a walk and just getting outside. And then when I came back, I just actually felt motivated to do things. So that was like my Thursday. And then Friday, I decided to take a break because then on the Saturday, I ended up going to an expo, and it was really nice. Like I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot of things as well. I'm not gonna like get into too much details of it, but I was with a couple of friends and it was really fun, and I got to do like this thing and I was really happy. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you're on this like a circular platform, and then there's a thing that spins around like filming you. So I did that with my friends and I was really happy about that. And then I would have gone on Sunday as well, but I just didn't feel the greatest that day. So I ended up not going and I was really sad. And then this is kind of where the majority of like my working slash doing stuff week happened. So on Monday, I went into work and I ended up being there for 6 hours, and I hadn't been into work in 9 weeks. Like it's not like a extremely hard job, but in general, like if you don't practice a skill for like a long time, you kind of forget about it, and it takes you like a while to like just get back into the flow. So that's what had happened to me, and I came in during like the lunch rush hour. So that was just like it took me like an hour or so to just get used to like preparing things quickly and just like doing things like under time pressure but still maintaining quality. And I will just actually, I haven't even said it, but I work in a fast food restaurant as a casual. But yeah, after like, I'd say after the rush hour was over and then like maybe another hour, I ended up just getting used to working again, like in that environment, because as I had said, it had been so long. And then I came back in on Tuesday and I worked for 5 hours. So I actually worked for a total of 11 hours that week in the span of 2 days. And that wasn't as bad. Like it felt a lot less busy when I came in on Tuesday. And I also rewarded myself with a Harritos, and I was really happy because I'd been craving one for a couple of days. So I was like happy I got that. For me, especially, I always have this mindset where like if you do something, then rewarding yourself is just so much better. Like I am quite a person where I love incentives. Someone like can come up to me and just ask, oh, like if you complete your homework, I'll give you like a chocolate, and even if I don't like the chocolate, I'll still do it because it's a reward. So I love my rewards. That was kind of like Monday and Tuesday. And I thought that was like somewhat bad, not like amazing, but it wasn't like terrible. It's just like kind of mid. And I thought it actually couldn't get worse because I just get really bored at work sometimes. But then came Wednesday. So I had gotten a last minute message being like, hey, can you come in on Wednesday to volunteer? And I was like, sure. I was volunteering at my dance studio. I anyways do it during the term, and I had asked a couple weeks prior, hey, could I volunteer? So I wasn't mad about it, and I was like, yeah, sure. I love doing it anyway. I come in, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Kind of had to do things on the spot. Wasn't too bad, except one thing. Like, I definitely will do it again. Like, it is really a love hate relationship with volunteering. I love doing it. I get so many benefits for myself, but I also I just feel proud of myself when I volunteer. But it was definitely an exhausting day for me. I was working with 5 and 6 year olds, and for those who have worked with 5 or 6 year olds, or they can be a lot. So I was there from 9 to 3, volunteering actively, and they were screaming the whole time. And I definitely had a headache by the end of the day. Like, it was a lot for me, especially because I'm not used to working with kids from 9 to 3, like essentially a school day. Like, usually I'm the one at school doing work. And now I kind of get why primary school teachers should be paid more, because how do they actually deal with that for 5 days a week? I feel like they should be paid more. Like, they definitely need a lot more appreciation, primary school teachers, especially those working with the young years. Anyway, I got slightly sidetracked. So I was with them the whole day. And the morning was okay. They actually listened. But then they started screaming a lot. And there was a class I was teaching, and this is my first time teaching a class to that extent, in the sense of there was another teacher in the room who probably knew it more than me, but it was just a learning opportunity for me to teach. And they were just kind of screaming. None of them were really paying attention. A lot of them were sitting on the floor, and I was trying my best, I will say. There were things I could have done better looking back at the situation, but in that moment, I was not slightly, I was very overstimulated in that situation, and I had given up. I'm just was I'm doing a minute of silence, and they would not even do the minute of silence because they just kept talking. But yeah, it was a lot. By the end of that class, I actually had to step outside for a second and just have a minute to myself because I was just so overwhelmed. As I was saying, by lunchtime, I had given up. I not necessarily wanted to go home, but I wanted them to calm down, and I just kind of wanted to enjoy myself. But they kept screaming. So by the end, we're just I didn't suggest this. The other teacher in the room suggested this, that they just do sleeping lines or something for a couple minutes because they were exhausted. I will agree, they were exhausted. You could see it on their faces. And that was probably part of the reason they kept screaming, because they were getting really rowdy. And I was also really tired. But yeah, so it came to home time. I was on the couch, actually dead. My head was on the couch. Definitely not the best professional looking person at that moment, but I was so tired. And as I said, I was so overstimulated. For me, when I get overstimulated, I go really silent and noise becomes really loud. So the screaming definitely didn't help with that, because noise was becoming really loud, and in my head it was getting amplified. And then on top of that, I actually just went nonverbal. I don't know why I do it, but I think I'm just trying to gather my thoughts when I get really overstimulated. So that's what happened. I ended up going really silent, and I don't think the people in that room had seen me get into that state before. So I think they felt kind of bad for me. But anyway, after that, I ended up staying at the studio for another 20 minutes. No kids there. It was just the teachers. And that was just because I could not move my legs because I was so tired, and I just need to regain my thoughts. But once I regained my thoughts, I walked back home. I treated myself, and then I felt a lot better. And then I just started reflecting on the moment, and I was like, okay, I could have definitely handled some things better, but for my first time teaching a class, and in general just my first time dealing with that age group the whole day, I didn't do a terrible job. At least that's what I think. Maybe other people have other opinions. But essentially that was my week. Like, for the second week of holidays, I have 2 weeks of holidays. My first week of holidays was completely different. They were very chill. It was me working on my podcast, doing some writing. I was definitely on my bed a lot. I was scrolling. I did a bit of homework. I didn't do too much, but I definitely took that first week to relax. Actually did go out to get Yochi with a friend. She is this chain in Australia for frozen yogurt. And if you ever come to Australia, you really need to try it because it's really good. But yeah, I had like a really like quite a contrast between my first week with it being so chill and then my second week with it being quite doing a lot of stuff and just like keeping myself like motivated, working, keeping my social battery up. But then like now I'm like near the end of my holidays and past couple of days I haven't really done too much. Actually today when I'm recording this, I am going off to a concert, the TNS tour, which I will actually do an episode on next week. But other than that, oh, actually, no, I'm also going to a party on Saturday. But other than that, I haven't done too much since Wednesday. So just having like the middle part was really good for me because I still got to relax, but I definitely like had some work. And I think that's kind of just like my moral of this story. It's just like having a balance in life is so important. And I said at the beginning as well that balance is just so important in life. It's really good for your mental health. And I think the holidays is just a really good time to get that balance, which is what I'm going to go into now. And I feel like now, actually, I'll just explain my beginning statement when I said I think I like holidays, and that's just because of the boredom. And if you're like me, or just like, I feel like everyone's actually done this. I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely done this. You don't actually do any work, even if you have work, you just kind of sit in your bed or just like watch Netflix the whole day. And you do that for 2 weeks straight. Like, you don't do anything. And that's what I've always hated about the holidays for me, especially the summer holidays, which is around 6 to 8 weeks in Australia. I just do the same thing over and over again, and it's nothing like stimulating. So I just end up getting really bored, and then I don't know what to do with myself. And I'm like, why am I living life? Because I'm not really doing anything. And then, like, around 3 quarters into the summer holidays, I'll be like, I just want to get back at school because of how bored I am. And I know not everyone will agree with this statement, but for me, I don't actually mind school because for me, like, I get homework and all that. So I always have something to do and I feel motivated to do it to some extent. So I'm always like stimulated with school. Like, of course, I get slightly overstimulated with school, but like at the end of the day, I have things to do. And during the holidays, there's nothing assigned for me. So I don't have motivation to do anything. Like, of course, the holidays are great because it gives you time to just recharge, get your energy back up, be prepared for the next term. But I always think, like, in my head, I don't need 2 weeks. And then I get back to school and I'm like, I really needed those 2 weeks and I didn't take them properly because I was just like lazing around just on my screen, which didn't help me as much as I thought it did. So, for the past couple holidays, especially these holidays, I've been trying to veer away from my phone and laptop slightly. Like, of course, I've still been doing it. Like I said at the beginning, I am still watching like Netflix and YouTube, and like I was watching Survivor for a bit as well. But that wasn't taking up my holidays to 24/7. But I know like so many people are going to be like, well, what could I do instead of just watching like my TV or my laptop or my phone or my iPad or whatever device you have? Because the thing is, we all like gravitate towards our phone because it's so easy. Like, our phone just like is literally like an alarm that just says, look at me, look at me, look at me, and gives you so many things that just keeps you stimulated, which we love because our brain loves being stimulated. And like trying to find other things off our screens is so hard because they don't necessarily stimulate us straight away. So I think just being able to find the right things is so important. This kind of just leads into hobbies. Like, everyone should have a hobby, I say, because it gets you off your screen. But it can also be so challenging finding a hobby, especially like trying to find one that satisfies you straight away, because a lot of the time they don't. And I'm not saying it's a bad hobby then, because sometimes hobbies take time to satisfy you and you have to like actually be willing to give the hobby a go. But I feel like you also just have to know what type of person you are to know what hobbies will suit you. Like, for me, a lot of my hobbies, as I've stated in the beginning, they are quite creative hobbies. And I know I am a pretty creative person. So doing something creative will give me like long term satisfaction, and doing it in the process is what will keep me away from my technology. But and other people, their hobbies could be sport. And if they do like a gym workout or make like a gym plan or just like go outside for a walk or run or whatever people want to do, that's going to keep them occupied and away from their device. The main thing with hobbies is just like being able to do them and not really think about like, oh, when can I next get on my phone and all that. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is just having hobbies is so important, and you can have multiple hobbies, but you always want to find the hobby that suits you. But you still want like variety in your hobbies. Like, for example, I've got podcasting and dance. Like, podcasting is so different to dancing in the sense of one speaking, one's more about movement, but they're also really similar because they're both creative and they involve like making something and just to some extent performing. And I guess this kind of just leads me into my overall statement, which will sound a bit controversial at the start, but I will explain it. That we often undervalue holidays. When we are in school, we definitely like crave for the holidays and we're just like, when will the holidays start? I want the holidays to start. But then we actually get into them and we just laze around and we go from one side of the spectrum, which is all working, to the other side of the spectrum, which is no working in the span of 24 hours. And then we just, at least for me, I feel like I underappreciate the holidays then because I've just been relaxing and I get so bored. And then when I get at school, I'm like, that relaxing was really good, but now I'm not ready for school. And I also will think that like I actually didn't relax enough because I didn't do anything. And for me, that actually isn't the most relaxing because I wasn't actively relaxing. I was just subconsciously relaxing by scrolling. So instead, I feel like with holidays, it's the time to get your life back into balance. Want to use the holidays to relax and to like recharge your battery. I'm not denying that you want to use your holidays for that. But I feel like you don't want to just use your holidays to just like lie around and be lazy. This is coming from me who loves being lazy. I feel like you need to still like work your brain up a bit. So when you get back in school, to some extent you feel more relaxed, but you also, because like you've probably done active relaxing in the sense of like, okay, I'm allocating this time for doing like work and study, and I'm allocating this time for relaxing. And you want to use that time well when you allocate time because you're like, I know it's limited. But then because you're working on all that, you come back into school feeling a lot more prepared than you normally would if you just relax. And this is all just coming back to having that work life balance. Like, for me, I know I'm still in school, so I'm not really working per se. So I'm just going to say a school life balance. But having that like balance is should be the normal. And I think the holidays can be used as the time to get back into the normal of still working and still relaxing. Because once you're in school, like you have to somewhat prioritize studying, but you still want to prioritize relaxing because you don't want to overwork yourself. Like, even just me talking about it, it feels like a lot in my head. I'm like, how do I do this sometimes? Because I've said in my last episode, I was studying so much, I wasn't really making time for family. And that's another thing I completely forgot to mention. Spend time with your family, not just your friends. Like, I know I do this so often. I try to just hang out with my friends and strengthen those connections. But I always forget that even just family is a connection as well. And connections can get stronger and weaker, and they get stronger by hanging out with them, getting to know them. And yes, we all know our family because we've been with them for our whole lives, but I think we just sometimes forget that even like our parents are people as well, and that they value time with us. And this is slightly stereotypical teenager. We ignore our parents because we're like, oh, they're trying to control us, when they think they're trying to do what's best for us. And I think the only way to solve that, or at least feel like you're on good terms with your parents, is actually having a nice conversation with them, or really just hanging out with them and spending time. Like, spending time, I feel like people underestimate how important that can be, especially when it comes to family. Like, it's definitely important when it comes to friendships because that's how you maintain them. But with family, it's how you make sure it's a good family because, as I said, you are always going to be with your family. You want to make those relationships the best you can because you don't know how long you're going to have with them, or like when the next sad moment's going to happen. Also, like, spending time with your loved ones is a form of relaxing. But anyway, moral of this rant is that use the holidays efficiently and wisely, using whatever methods to get into that work life balance during the holidays. And then that way, it is also easier to maintain once you get back into school. And even if you can't maintain it, at least you know you can get back to it somehow. And just coming back into school, you feel so much more relaxed knowing that you had like a work life balance. Thank you for tuning into today's episode about just being on school holidays. And next week, I am going to get into the next step. It is probably my favorite dance show, and it was like the first dance show I watched as a kid, and I was so lucky to be able to see the Legacy Tour. And you'll be able to hear more about that next week. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Unsend Voice Memos Podcast. Maybe school holidays aren't that bad, but I also have to go back to school in a couple of days. Help. Message for concluded.